You know, when people stop me on the streets, they tell me they don't recognize the country. So everyone looks like they're in great shape. You're all just back from your $9,000 a night stay with friends, like most Canadians, right? That's what our Prime Minister said. Can you imagine that? He said, like most Canadians, I stayed with friends. An $89,000 vacation for free from friends. Wow, geez, I think I have the wrong friends. Actually, I have the best friends in the world. And they'll let me sleep on the couch once in a while if necessary. But I think most Canadians would feel a long way from home if they had an $89,000 vacation, wouldn't they? But everything feels a long way from home right now, doesn't it? You know, when people stop me on the streets, they tell me they don't recognize the country. I met a lady who immigrated here from Punjab just yesterday at the airport, and she said to me, "Where is my Canada? What happened to this place?" Used to be that she lived safe in her neighborhood. She could earn a decent living, buy a house, raise her kids with nutritious food. But now she's worried she might lose her home altogether. And she didn't say so, but I think that she's eating at a food bank. That was only minutes after I spoke to a 28-year-old. I had previously seen her as a CATSA screener a few months ago. She then told me she had done the calculation based on her monthly savings, that it was going to take her well into her 40s to make her first down payment on a home. And of course, let's be honest, she said her biological clock is ticking. She wants to start a family, something that's not easy living in her parents' basement. Today, though, her problem was different and new, but related. Not only is she living in her parents' basement, but she has to help the family pay the mortgage, which has gone up by $15,000 a year. So now, not only is she worried about whether she'll ever own a home, she's worried that her parents, with whom she lives, might not be able to keep that home. That's life after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, everything costs more, with the worst inflation in 40 years. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau promising debt was consequence-free because interest rates were low, they've shot up in the fastest relative terms in Canadian history, and they are a direct result of his deficit spending. After 8 years of Trudeau, work doesn't pay. You make it, he takes it. After 8 years of Trudeau, housing costs have doubled. The needed rent has doubled. The needed down payment for your average home doubled. The average mortgage payment for a new home doubled. And before we go again blaming the rest of the world for some phenomenon that is out of his control, let us be very clear about this. The housing inflation in Canada is the worst or very close to the worst of any developed nation. Housing costs have risen 40% faster than incomes under Trudeau, which is by far the worst in the G7. It is the second worst in the OECD. It is double the OECD average. Many OECD countries have actually seen housing affordability improve over the last 8 years. This is not a problem that has been dropped on Justin Trudeau's lap. It is a problem that he created with his inflationary spending and by continually building up the local bureaucracies that block home building. He has made us the second slowest place to get a building permit on planet Earth, and it now costs as much as $1.3 million in governmental red tape and taxes alone for a newly built home in Vancouver. By the way, incidentally, is the third most overpriced housing market in the world, comparing average incomes to average house prices. We now have rental increases in Montreal, his home city, of 200%, triple. It used to cost about $750 to rent a place in Montreal when I was housing minister 8 years ago. Now it costs $2,200. This is astonishing. And his solution at his last big caucus retreat was to name media darling Sean Fraser to come to the rescue, to bombard the country with photo ops. And what has happened? Building has gone down by 7%. Actually building fewer homes with Sean Fraser than we were building with the previous nameless, incompetent minister that Trudeau had in charge of that file. And so the problem gets worse and worse. Housing is in decline. In 2022, we built fewer homes than we built in 1972, even though our population had more than doubled. That is the direct result of the bureaucracy that Justin Trudeau has built up over so many years. And now People who can't pay their rent are forced to go to food banks. 2 million people now going to food banks. 2 million, a record-smashing number. In fact, in Toronto, 1 in 10 people are relying on food banks. The number of people eating at food banks in Toronto today would fill the Rogers Centre 7 times. That is life in Toronto after 8 years of Justin Trudeau winning every single seat in that city. Toronto, what have you got for voting for Justin Trudeau? Your streets are crawling with crime and chaos. You can't afford the rent. There's division like never before in our streets. Places of worship are under attack. People who've lived there all their lives no longer feel at home. The big cities that voted for Justin Trudeau are suffering the most because of his disastrous and costly policies. You know, look at the crime. Violent crime is up 40%. The number of overdose deaths is up 200%. 40,000 Canadians have lost their lives to overdoses after 8 years of Justin Trudeau's policy of decriminalizing crack and heroin and giving out tax-subsidized opioids that have heroin-level potency. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, we have our young people at greater risk than ever before to fall into a life of drugs. Formerly peaceful neighborhoods are now dangerous. When I was in North Bay the other day, a man came to my town hall. He said, "I'm not interested in politics. I don't even typically vote. I just have one simple request. I want to take my kids to the restaurant in the center town of North Bay without getting stabbed in the face." That was his request. In small northern Ontario towns, people used to leave their doors unlocked before Justin Trudeau brought in catch and release. And yet, there's been the NDP betraying Northern Ontario and Vancouver Island and the British Columbia interior, selling out their people, selling out the working class to support his policies of catch and release, of banning hunting rifles, of quadrupling the carbon tax and doubling housing costs. That is the misery that they have helped bring about. And is it getting any better? In fact, our economy is now shrinking in absolute terms. In per capita terms, it has shrunk in all of the last 6 quarters. We have had the worst per capita GDP growth of any G7 country, meaning smaller paychecks and more desperation for our people. Investment per worker is in drastic decline, meaning that American workers get almost twice the investment of tools and technology of an average Canadian worker. And our jobs move south of the border and into the hands of more powerful economy where our workers lose out. But the good news is, life wasn't like this before Justin Trudeau, and it won't be like this after he's gone. Canadians are hardworking, decent, honorable people. They don't have to live like this. They don't have to give up the things they used to take for granted, like affordable food and homes in safe neighborhoods. They don't have to give up those things for the incompetence and ego of one man. We can do better. And we will do better with a common sense plan. And we're going to give people a very simple choice in the next election. On the one hand, you will have a costly coalition of Justin Trudeau and the NDP that take your money, tax your food, punish your work, double your housing costs, and unleash crime and chaos in your community. Or you can have the common sense Conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. That's the choice. And that is what we will fight for in this session. Let me be very clear, and let me say it again and again. Conservatives will fight throughout this session to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime. Is everybody in this room ready to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime? And we all know that axing the tax, Building the homes, fixing the budget, and stopping the crime requires a common sense plan. And it just so happens that's exactly what we have, right? A common sense plan that will bring home lower prices by axing the carbon tax, a tax that Justin Trudeau and the NDP want to quadruple to 61 cents a litre. We will take it off entirely, everywhere. We'll start this session with a relentless focus on passing Bill C-234 to take the carbon tax off our farmers. We know that lowering the carbon tax not only saves us money when we gas up and heat our homes, but we take that tax off the farmers and truckers who bring our food we can afford to eat again. We're going to cap government spending and cut government waste to balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates. How do we do that? Well, we get rid of the $35 billion infrastructure bank that has not completed a single solitary project. The $1 billion green slush fund, 15% of whose funds are already identified as having been misappropriated and mismanaged by corruption, something that the bureaucrats say resembles the sponsorship scandal. We'll get rid of the $54 million ArriveCan app. We'll cut back on the $21 billion of external consultants. That works out to $1,400 in taxes for every family in Canada just to pay for external consultants, 100% increase in 8 years. We will get rid of that waste, and we will bring the work inside the bureaucracy at a lower price to Canadians. We will bring in and we will cut back on the money that is sent out of this country to other places. Trudeau's been funding foreign terrorists and dictators, calling it aid. He gave money to UNRWA, right? We warned what would happen if you gave money to UNRWA. We cut the funds for UNRWA when we were in government. And what happened? Justin Trudeau funded the same organization whose members helped carry out the genocidal October 7th attack. Justin Trudeau should be ashamed of himself for the way that he has spent our money to fund this terrorist organization. And we will not only cut back that, we will stop funding the Beijing-controlled Asian Infrastructure Bank. We should be building pipelines and roads in Canada, not in Asia. And we will cap government spending using a common sense law. It comes from single mothers and small businesses. It's called the dollar for dollar law. If we bring in $1 more of spending in one place, we will by law be required to find $1 of savings somewhere else to pay for it. This is how families budget and pay for things. And that's why families understand that budgets don't balance themselves. It's common sense. This law will allow us to cap spending while the economy and the taxpayer catches up so that we can balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates on our people. And our people deserve to have their work rewarded. We need to end the war on work, where a mother of three who earns an extra $1 loses 80 cents to clawbacks and taxes. That is outrageous. No wonder we have a hard time getting more workers. We punish work. A common sense conservative government will lower income tax and reform clawbacks so people bring home more of each dollar they earn, and hard work once again pays off in this country. We will bring home powerful paychecks for our brilliant immigrants. We've had a red seal in the trades for 70 years. Every province has accepted a national standard for the trades in order to allow people to prove their qualifications and travel across the country working freely. In the professions, however, our brilliant immigrants and our Canadian-born kids who study medicine abroad are shut out. The saying in Toronto these days is if you have a heart attack, don't call 911, call an Uber, because the likelihood is the driver is a doctor, right? Our common sense plan is to have a national merit-based test that people can take in a couple of months so they can prove they're qualified, get to work, and we can have more doctors, more nurses, better paychecks for our people. And speaking of paychecks, we're going to remove the government gatekeepers that were created by C-69 that blocks our resource sector. We're going to bring it home. We're going to bring it home. Justin Trudeau wants the lithium for electric cars to be mined and refined by China, burning coal. He wants the oil to come from Saudi Arabia and Venezuela, on which he just recently lifted sanctions as they block key candidates for running in that election. He wants the paycheck. He wants, instead of paychecks going to Canadian plumbers, Canadian pipe fitters, Canadian trades workers, he wants the money to fund Putin's war machine by directing natural gas sales to that country. Common sense conservative governments will approve our resource projects. We will repatriate the production and paychecks to this country. We will turn dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people in this country. Bring it home. 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 We're going to bring it home, my friends. We're going to bring it home to our people in this country once again, and we're going to bring homes to our people. We have the fewest homes per capita in all of the G7, even though we have by the far the most land to build on. This is insane. You know, it used to be the average mortgage payment on a brand new home was $1,400 when I was the minister. Now it's $3,500. The average rent, $900 when I was minister. Now it's about $2,000. This is insane. Our housing is now 25 to 45% more expensive than the Americans, even though they have 8 times the population on a smaller landmass. Why? Bureaucracy blocks home building. It now takes 7 years to get a building permit. This adds enormous costs to each built home. $1.2 million for a new home built in Vancouver is just government. It's the biggest cost, more than land, labor, and lumber. Our common sense plan is going to bring results-based financing. Realtors are paid for the number of homes they build. Excuse me, realtors are paid for the number of homes they sell. Builders are paid for the number of homes they build. I want the local bureaucracies to be paid for the number of homes they permit. I want them to be incentivized every day in every way to free up land and speed up permits so that our builders can build. We will require cities permit 15% more home building per year as a condition of getting financing from the federal infrastructure programs. They beat the target, they get a bonus. They miss the target, they pay a fine. We'll require every federally funded transit station have high-density apartments all around and even on top, so seniors and students live next to the bus and train. We'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings, thousands of acres of federal land to build, 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 and we will require CMHC-approved financing for apartment complexes in 2 months, not 2 years. If the executives don't hit the target, by law, they will be fired. Common sense. Those homes will be in safe neighborhoods. We will end Justin Trudeau's catch-and-release system, which has unleashed crime and chaos in our communities. He has allowed the same 40 violent offenders to be arrested 6,000 times in Vancouver because they were released within mere minutes. The criminal is out before the police do the paperwork these days. We're going to stop the crime by stopping the criminals. Very simple. The root cause of crime is criminals. Put the criminals in jail, you have less crime. It will be jail, not bail. Jail, not bail for repeat violent offenders. We will bring in treatment and recovery to bring home our loved ones drug-free. Yes, bring them home drug-free. Now, that's a hopeful message, because we love our brothers and sisters who suffer from this illness, and we want to help them overcome the illness and have good lives, raising families, building our economy. That is the compassionate and the right thing to do. And the right thing to do as well is to stand on the side of the law-abiding, licensed firearms owners who are statistically proven to be the least likely to commit a crime with a gun. We will reverse Trudeau's ban on our sport shooters and our hunters, and we will instead go after the real gun criminals. We will reinforce the borders, and we will inspect and scan the shipping containers to stop our automobiles from being shipped out of this country to faraway places by thieves and criminals. You know, I know I've gone on too long. I just want to tell one quick story. One quick story. So I'm in Brampton. We sit down with these business leaders. They come in. The guy says, wake up in the morning, my car's stolen. So good news is I put an air tag in it. He says, so I followed the air tag, and it took me all the way to a rail yard. So he jumped the fence, and he followed the app on his phone. He got to a shipping container that was on a train, and he said, well, there's my car. It's in that shipping container. Well, some authorities came running over, and he said, oh, thank God you're here. You were there up front for this. He said, thank God you're here. You can help me get my car out of that shipping container. And they said, no. You're not supposed to be here. We're charging you a fine. And then, as he was being assessed the fine, the rail cars started moving. And they went to Montreal. The shipping container got on a boat and was shipped off to the Middle East, so he lost his car and paid a fine for trying to get it back. Another guy the same day told us, you were there for this too, he got up in the morning, his car was gone. So he called 911, and they said, well, we're not going to be there for a while because it's a very busy day in Brampton. And he's looked out the window, and he said, they're back, they're stealing my second car. And so he says, well, I'm going to go out and get them. He said, no, don't do that. Well, then you come here now and stop them. They said, no, we've got so much going on today. It's going to be 45 minutes before we arrive. Just let them take the car. That's how insane it is. But good news is Justin Trudeau's holding a summit, a big summit. There's going to be another meeting. Thank God. Politicians and bureaucrats and lobbyists will all come together. They'll send you the bill for their hotel rooms. Don't worry. There's a summit happening. My friends, we don't need another summit. We need a common sense plan to end the theft and stop the crime, and that is what Conservatives will do. We're going to reverse the censorship law. We're going to stand up for the freedom. We're going to hold this government accountable for illegally taking away our civil rights in this country. We're going to live in a country, I said we're a long way from home, and we are. It's a very long way from home in only 8 years of Trudeau. So it's easy to forget how good things were and how much better they can be. So let's paint the picture of what home looks like. Home is seniors having reliable retirements that buy them affordable food, able to carry their groceries safely down the street, walking past children who are able to play openly in the neighborhoods with their parents only worried about getting them bathed into bed on time, not worried about their safety or whether they'll have a roof over their head. Home is a young person getting their degree or certificate, knowing that their hard work will soon mean they and their true life will have a roof over their head and a place to start their family. Home is a place that judges people based on their work and their merit, not their race or their connections to government. Home. Home is a place where government is servant and not master, where the people are in charge and the leaders have the humility to do the job for them. Home is a place where the government minds its own business and does its basic job well, while allowing free people to fulfill their full potential. Home is common sense. The common sense of the common people united for our common home. Your home, my home, our home. Let's bring it home. Thank you.